Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Almost Martha. And today, well, I've done it. So I have, thrown it out there that I'm gonna do an English tea, and then life got really crazy and I couldn't do it, and finally I said, you know what? If I'm ever gonna do it, I just have to pick a date and then just invite people, and then I'm forced to do it. So I'm forced to do it. So I have people coming for an English tea. I'm very excited. I've already made those Grand Marnier cakes that I showed you. Today I'm going to be making a little walnut cake, and we're going to put a coffee buttercream on top of it. It's going to be so good. And then I'm going to make some coronation chicken, and I've got all these things that I have to make. So today we're going to concentrate on a walnut cake, and I'm going to I'm going to bake it in this very fancy little pan. I love it. Look at all the little different shapes and all that stuff. I'm very excited. So today we're going to make walnut cakes, and I'm also going to make the coffee buttercream icing that we're going to sort of dot on top. So I'm very excited about that. So get ready. We're going to prepare for English tea. This is like step number 2. So for my recipe, I looked at a bunch of different walnut cake recipes, and I finally settled on one from a website called Taste of Home, and it's called Mother's Walnut Cake, which appeals to me, Mother's Walnut Cake. So that's a recipe that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use the frosting that they paired it with because I really want this coffee buttercream. Oh, it's going to be really good, or this coffee cream. I've looked at this recipe, so I know it's going to be good. So to make this the cake portion, and I know I'm going to have more than I need, but that's okay. So we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of butter, and I'm just going to, a little piece there, put it right in my mixer. I softened it in the microwave, probably 15 seconds at 50% power, and that would give you the perfect kind of creamy butter. And there's also, here it is, I also have a 1/2 cup of shortening. So I know a lot of people don't like using shortening, but it really does make a nice soft cake and everything. So I'm going to put that right in here. I'm going to turn it on a little bit because I want to cream the butter and the shortening a little bit before I add my sugar in. Okay, the shortening was a little cold. The butter, of course, was, a little more room temp, so I'm glad I did that. So it calls for 2 cups of sugar, which I'm going to put in here just a little bit at a time. Get it nice and creamed. Okay, my 2 cups sugar. So the next thing it's going to ask for are some eggs. It says 4 eggs room temperature. I've had my eggs sitting out, but you know me, I like to put in my eggs in a different vessel first to make sure no shells have gone in there. So I'm going to add these in one at a time. 1. Oh. Yep, I think I see a little shell in there. That's exactly why I do this, just in case. There we go. 2. These eggs have a pretty thin shell, so if that's the case, you don't want to bang them too hard. Some are thick and some are thin. You never know until you crack the egg. Okay. All right, that's great. So that's my 4 eggs. I'm just going to wipe down the bowl a little bit here. You need to cream that in just a tiny bit. Okay, that looks really good. So I have here 3.5 cups of flour. So this is that portion of the recipe where we're going to add in our baking soda and our salt. So it calls for 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I'm going to pull just a little bit back on that because I don't want it to rise too much. So I'm going to, come on now. Okay, there's 1. I'm going to do 1.5 because I don't want it to rise all fluffy. Simply because we're putting it in that little shape and I don't want to have to cut off too much on the bottom. Okay, so salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, there you go. Now I'm just gonna mix this up in my mixture, making sure I gotta cover my salt so it doesn't get clumpy. Okay, we're gonna mix this in. Okay, so that's good. So now we're going to gradually add to this cream mixture along with some buttermilk and vanilla. So it calls for 1.5 cups of buttermilk. I know how y'all feel about buttermilk, but let me tell you, it's good. It's going to add a little tang to the recipe, and it's really good stuff. And it helps retain moisture. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some vanilla. Good amount of vanilla. I'm going to pour that in first before I do the flour. Oh. Okay. I got a little overzealous there. All right, let's get my vanilla in. Oh, I got a little vanilla splash here. All right. It'll smell good the rest of the day. All right, I lost a little, so I'm gonna put some back. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy. All right. Beware. I forgot to put my apron on. Okay. We'll do that in the next portion. All right, so now I'm gonna add some of my flour. Work back in there. A little of my vanilla. Pick it up just a tiny, tiny bit. Kind of want it on low when you're adding the dry ingredient so it doesn't do what the vanilla just did, which is go. So, okay, so buttermilk. Flour. Buttermilk. All of that. That's for my flour. And that's it for the buttermilk. Okay. So I took 1.5 cups of walnuts and I roasted them in the oven, and then I put them in my food processor to grind them up. I was afraid they were going to become, walnut butter, so I stopped. But now I'm going to add this 1.5 cups of ground walnuts right into my mixture. Ooh, that's gonna have such a good flavor. that down a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, you know I'm going to taste it. Mm. Oh, that's a really good dough. Very walnutty. That's terrific. That's just what I was looking for. So now we're going to start working on our little pans. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to disengage. A lot of dough, so I'll make some of these little small ones, and then I'll make a big one that we can have outside of the tea, because this is going to be a really good cake. And with that coffee icing, it's going to be so good. So good. Okay, I can't help myself. It really is good. Okay, I washed my hands and I put on an apron because I could be slinging some batter around here. I've been accused of slinging a lot of batter, so I'm going to pour some batter into a cup, because this is that's a lot of batter to try to put in these little bitty tins. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Move this here. Okay, now we got some working room. So I have my Baker's Joy. So I'm very carefully going to spray on the inside, because it asks you to, put shortening and flour in your cake pan. I want to make sure I get this done really well. I switched to Pam because the other was running out. And I really want to make sure that I coat these very well, because we really don't want them to stick. And these little things are pretty intricate. So we want no sticking. Absolutely no sticking. Okay, so now I'm going to begin to put some dough in these. It's not going to take much. As a matter of fact, that's probably a little too much. So, but Lord knows I got a lot of dough in case this doesn't work out. I can just start all over. I'm undercooked. So the recipe said to cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes in a cake pan. So this is going to require much less baking time. Much less baking time. So, okay. I'm going to watch it like a hawk, because I never do. So I really should do that. Okay. Okay, no more. Step away from the spoon. This is it. I'm not putting any more in there. So all is good. And I'll put them in the oven and I'll keep you posted. Okay. 325. Okay, I have a whole tray full of these little cakes, and I tasted one. They're really good, and they're going to be really delicious when we put this little coffee icing on top. So hold on, I have some water boiling. I'll be right back. First step in making our coffee buttercream is to get our coffee ready. You can't just use regular coffee. You need really strong coffee. So I took 3 packets of Starbucks instant Italian roast, and I put them right here. To this, it equals about 2 tablespoons of this instant coffee. And now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that boiling water. And now I'm just going to stir it a little bit. And now this has to cool down, because this will be added to butter to make our frosting. So it can't go in hot, or it's going to melt that butter. So right now I'm just going to help this coffee dissolve. Pretty thick coffee. I know a lot of people that would like to drink it this way, but we won't drink it. We're going to use it in our icing. So once we get it all dissolved, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and we're going to let it bring that temperature down until it's nice and cool, and it's going to be safe to add to our butter mixture. So into the fridge it goes. All right, it's time to start on our buttercream frosting. So I have 1 cup of butter, which equals 2 sticks, and I'm using unsalted butter. Let's see the best way to get this in here. There we go. So it's been sitting out for a good while, so it's going to cream really, really nicely. Okay, so that's my butter. And the next thing we're going to put in is, now this says 3.5 cups of powdered sugar, but then it also gives 440 grams. So this is about 450 grams, something like that. I just weighed it a second ago, so we can just use that whole box. So this is 1 box of confectioner sugar. I also have 1/8 teaspoon of just plain table salt. I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in the butter. And we can start to put that powdered sugar right in this butter, because this butter is totally creamy already. But we'll start. Plugging up would help. Yes, electricity is always good for appliances. Okay. I'm going to add a little powdered sugar there. And let that start to cream in. You're also going to add some vanilla. So I have my trusty vanilla extract. So it's paste, that vanilla bean paste. So let me find a little thing to help this come out. There you go. Lots of great vanilla flavor in this paste. Perfect. I do believe in lots of vanilla. Remember that. Lots of vanilla. Okay. I'm going to add a little more. Now the coffee that I put in the refrigerator is really nice and chilled at this point. We're just going to put some of that in there as well. A little more powdered sugar. And back to our coffee. Boy, that is some, you could stand up a spoon in that coffee. So that is going to give me some really intense coffee flavor. That's really great. Okay. Messy. All right, I'm just going to pour the last of my sugar in here. Got a beautiful, ooh, that coffee smells good. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Woo. Great color. Looks good. Looks very good. So we basically added, a couple tablespoons of that coffee mixture. And a lot of times when you make buttercream icing, they'll ask you to put a tablespoon or so of milk. So that's good. Now, you want this to be stiff, but not too stiff. So I'm just going to give this a little taste. Oh, that is some really nice coffee flavor. Wow. This is going to be so good on those little walnut bits. Okay. All right. So I'm going to clean my station, and then we're going to try to put some of this icing on these little mini cakes. Hold on. So if you watch this show, you may have seen me try to do some piping work not that long ago, and I was less than stellar at it. But this should be a little easier. My only concern is that the icing is a little too stiff, but these really just get a little jot of icing on the top. They're so small. The surface area is very small. So I don't think I'll have the same problem, but you never know. You never know. Okay. So I'm going to take my icing bag. Just going to try to get the icing down to the bottom. I'm going to twist this bag. I'm going to force the icing down. Oh, okay. We're going to hold it, and we're going to pipe. Oh, Lord, look at that. Ah, yay! Yay! Oh, this is fantastic. And they're gonna want a lot of this icing, I'm sure. So I'm gonna try to make it just as lovely as I can make it. All these cute little different shapes, and these cakes are just so tiny and cute, and oh, I love it. So I was correct in my assumption that the last icing that I tried to pipe was just too stiff. So if you're having trouble piping, you might want to look at your icing, see if it's too stiff, and then add just a little bit of milk or some other liquid to it, in order to get it to be not quite as hard, because then it's going to be nearly impossible to pipe. I totally gave up on it. That was on my cream cheese cupcakes. Okay, we're doing well. We're doing well. We're doing well. I don't know how many these ladies are going to eat. Not as many as I've got here. I know that for sure, because we're going to have lots of other little goodies for them to choose from. But I'm going to be ready. So I'm just going to add a little more icing. I'll kind of keep going. But look, how cute is that? How cute is that? That is so adorable. Okay, where's a small one? Where's a small one? I'll do one, maybe a regular shaped one that I might not want to put out tomorrow. Okay. Because I want to taste it and I want to try it. Mmm. 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 That is so good. That is so good. Mark is going to go, I can't believe you took another bite. But let me tell you, that is really good. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep piping the tops of these. And then, wow, that's good. That is really good. And then we'll be able to, add them to our lovely little tea tomorrow. But they're just so cute. These little really cute things. It's like a couple little bites. How cute is that? So I wish you were coming to tea tomorrow, Mom. Miss you. But I hope you enjoyed watching me put it all together. So these are mini walnut cakes topped with a delicious coffee buttercream icing. Totally delicious. They're going to be one of the stars of the show tomorrow, I'm totally sure. I can't wait to show you the whole tea too. But if you want this recipe, go to almost-martha.com. This recipe, all the other recipes will be there. We've got the Grand Marnier cakes. We've got these lovely little walnut cakes with the coffee cream. I'm going to make coronation chicken. Oh, it's all going to be so good. So I'll announce the date of the tea, or I'll have some film of the whole tea. You can see that. And the next recipe I'm gonna make, because I got a lot to do, is coronation chicken. So that'll be the next video that comes out. So thanks everybody. Join us again. I hope you plan a tea for yourself. This was so much fun to do. It's gonna be great tomorrow, and I think they're gonna love them. Thanks for joining. Go to almost-martha.com for the whole recipe. Thanks everybody.